blanket, feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright, echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Good to be back on this Sunday night. Actually, I say it's good to be back, but it's really not. I wish it was under different circumstances. I really do. We got off the air yesterday and we were talking about the Brown shooting in the USA. And then, like an hour later, I start getting things on Twitter and other places telling me there's something going on in Bondi, and it was like, Bondi, what's going on there tonight? And I was like, okay, we had a thing happen at Bondi Junction a couple of years ago. There was a stabbing in the mall over there, and I was like, well, maybe they're doing something in remembrance, being that it is the holidays. And then it was like, no, it's not that. Seems to be a lot of people talking about a guy with a gun. And then the footage started coming out. And it was harrowing to watch some of this footage. People walking through the area of where the majority of the shooting took place while filming. And you can see people working on people, giving them CPR. You can see people who are unfortunately too far gone. They are not with us anymore, and no one is helping them or doing anything with them. They are trying to help other people who are still with us. And it's just, it's crazy to see. We see a lot of these overseas. I've done a lot of them in America. I've done a lot in Europe. Don't remember the ones in Spain, London, Bali, 9/11. I mean, there's been a bunch. And then it's been about 3 decades or more in Australia since we had something this large. The last one was Port Arthur. Port Arthur, which what we know about that is it changed the way our gun laws were done down here. It changed the way our gun laws were done. Let me have a look. I know there's a Prime Minister press conference coming up. I've got it on another screen. It changed the way the gun laws were done. And according to the information that's coming out this morning, they are again going to look at what they could manipulate with the gun laws to make it harder for people to get firearms. And that is sort of their aim at the moment. The other one is why someone who was on an ASIO watch list was able to get firearms and or live with someone who had firearms. How this wasn't brought up for a review and how come firearms weren't taken out of that household is something we should look at. All right, I'm going to take you to a press conference. Hold on. Yep, here we go.
As soon as possible. He is expected to have attended the national security.
All right, it's not on. They're not doing it yet. All right, I thought they were. As soon as that goes live, I will bring it to you. It's supposed to be the latest update with our Prime Minister. As soon as it goes live, I'll put it on the screen. But if you don't know what happened yesterday in Bondi Beach in Australia, in New South Wales, two gunmen decided to go on a rampage targeting people who were celebrating Hanukkah. And they were celebrating it. It's called Hanukkah by the beach. And they sort of gather and they have a good time, and kids have fun, and they do it at a really beautiful area, next to the water. And it's supposed to be a good time for everyone, even if you're not Jewish. It's supposed to be great. I saw people that were Jewish there. I saw people who were not Jewish. I saw people who were just going, "What is this thing that they're doing?" And they're all just having a good time. And then this happened. Here we go.
And Nigel Ryan, the AFP acting Deputy Commissioner. This morning, I convened a meeting of the Cabinet where we were briefed on the latest intelligence on yesterday's attack in Bondi. And I've just come from a meeting of the National Security Committee where I also invited Premier Chris Minns to join us, along with the New South Wales Police Commissioner. At 4 o'clock today, the New South Wales Police Commissioner and AFP Commissioner will be briefing the National Cabinet, and I'm continually receiving updates from our national security agencies. We'll work hard over the days ahead to keep Australians updated on all of the developments. And on that note, I want to provide people with a few updates on work we have been doing. We are extending the funding for the National Council for Jewish Community Security and its state-based community security groups to provide overall security cover to the Jewish community as part of that. That is included in my EFO, but we're preempting that announcement today. That's also for capital works and can be utilised for guarding costs incurred by individual Jewish organisations across Australia. We're also working with Jewish community organisations to see how we can best support charity efforts, including through tax-deductible status for donations, and we're doing work on that. The government will also quickly work through the process of a declaration under the Terrorism and Cyclone Insurance Act that would ensure that insurance companies are able to pay out to local businesses for eligible losses. We're also working on support for funerals that will be held, but also visitor visas for people who are relatives wishing to visit Australia for those funerals, and I'll ask the Minister to comment on that. I do want to make a couple of more points as well. This morning, I met with police who were on the scene last night, some of whom had been up all night. These are brave people, many people who were off-duty police, headed towards Bondi last night from as far away as Newcastle and the Central Coast. They did so because of their commitment to their fellow Australians and the diligence that they show. And I think we need to recognise their incredible work at a time as well when 2 police officers have been seriously injured as a result of the efforts and bravery that they have shown. What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of terror, an act of anti-Semitism, an attack on the first day of Hanukkah targeted at the Jewish community. A dark day in Australia's history on what should have been a day of light. And visiting the scene there at Bondi this morning, it was a very physical reminder of the iconic status of Bondi Beach and the Bondi Pavilion. I opened that pavilion after the refurbishment just a couple of years ago. It is a historic place. And the fact that this was a venue for this act of evil that was clearly calculated by these perpetrators is just an outrage and a shock to the community. One of the things that is coming through, though, is that the community want to be able to express their support and solidarity. And I would urge and join with others who have urged Australians across the country to light a candle, put it in their front window tonight at 6:47 p.m. to show that light will indeed defeat darkness, part of what Hanukkah celebrates, of course. We are stronger than the cowards who did this. And I want to conclude finally by saying that the government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I we'll put on the agenda of the National Cabinet. Tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals. A review of licenses over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licenses should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well. I'll take to National Cabinet this afternoon a proposal to empower agencies to examine what can be done in this area. Quite clearly, the Howard government's gun laws have made an enormous difference in Australia and are a proud moment of reform, quite rightly, achieved across the Parliament with bipartisan support. If we need to toughen these up, if there's anything we can do, I'm certainly up for it, and I hope to get National Cabinet on board for that this afternoon as well. I'll ask the Minister to make some comments, and then the Acting Deputy Commissioner, Nigel Ryan, to make some comments as well.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Yesterday was an attack on Jewish Australians. It was an attack on modern Australia. It was an attack on Australia itself. And all Australians stand together against that attack. The police who were there standing together against the attackers, first responders standing together against the attackers, and even a bystander like Ahmed standing there, putting their own lives at risk against those attackers. The Joint Counter-Terrorism Team involving ASIO and the Australian Federal Police, with the investigation being led by New South Wales Police, needs to be allowed to do its work. While that work is happening, though, there are needs for the community right now. One of the additional things that the community have raised directly with me is because of the number of people who will have family members overseas, not only in Israel, but in other parts of the world, who will want to be able to get them here rapidly for funerals. We have set up a specific section of the department rapidly dealing with visa processing at a pace that would not ordinarily be there, to make sure that, given the often speedy nature of funerals in terms of the timeline in the Jewish tradition, to make sure that we maximise the chance for family members to be able to be reunited here at the worst of times. The Department of Home Affairs is also doing other work, as the Prime Minister referred to, with respect to working through a way to assist with the cost of those funerals. And finally, my department will stand ready for any of the outcomes that come out of the meeting of National Cabinet today with respect to the work that needs to be done on gun laws.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister. Again, our thoughts are with all of those that have been affected by this senseless act of terrorism. The AFP continues to work seamlessly with our partners in the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, being New South Wales Police and ASIO, in relation to Operation ARCS. There has been significant police operational activity in the past 12 hours, and this will continue into the days and weeks ahead. I must stress that this is an active and ongoing investigation, and I'm very limited in what I can say. But we do commit to providing timely updates to the community when appropriate. The AFP will use all of its specialist capabilities and resources to thoroughly investigate this matter in conjunction with New South Wales Police. The AFP will also continue to engage with affected communities that have been affected by this tragic event. The AFP stands firm in condemning any form of violence in our communities or any form of extremist behaviour, and we will work tirelessly to stamp it out.
Thank you. Questions? Here, and we'll just go along and way.
In February that Kathy Sturgeon, I should say, was the number one threat to life. Is that still the case, and have you taken these threats seriously enough? And Acting Deputy Commissioner, if I may, it's my understanding that Sajid Akram moved to Australia in the late 90s, I believe, from Pakistan. Is that correct?
I can do the immigration.
On the latter, the minister will respond. We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them.
Yeah, I'll leave it there. There's just some questions from reporters. I'll get those questions and answers for you probably in 10 minutes. They'll be up online. A decent press conference, not a lot that we already didn't know. There's already been talk of some of these points earlier today, including the reform on gun ownership or gun limits. Like they want to manipulate the limits, so and the review process, because that's really the number one thing. The big thing here is if you ended up on, they said it's not an actionable ASIO watch list that the Sun ended up on, but should that matter? If you end up on it and it's because you were connected to an ISIS or IS terrorist cell, I feel like there's more there that you should have been looking into. I will say that the ASIO and AFP have done a very good job over the last 20 years of keeping Australia safe. They have foiled several large-scale attacks that were supposed to happen and were in planning. Like there was one about a stadium that was supposed to have explosives in it, and they were going to blow up a sports stadium. There was another one that was an aeroplane attack. Those were foiled by the Australian Federal Police and ASIO several times over. So I know there's a lot of criticism of them here today throughout Australia, but I think we should all realize that they have saved us a number of times already. And we can't forget that, even though today is so tragic. I know a lot of people want to know more about Bondi. So Bondi is in Sydney. It is sort of like the in Sydney, it's like their sort of landmark beach in a way. It's known throughout the world. There's TV shows on it. You may have seen that TV show where the lifeguards rescue people and they talk about what it's like to work on the beach. I know that show airs in America, the UK, Europe, Asia. So a lot of people's first sort of interaction with Bondi, it may be that TV show that they see on TV. One of the reasons why it would be difficult for any area of Australia had this happened. But I think because Bondi had been a part of that Bondi Junction stabbing like a little while ago, it feels like it's being targeted. It feels like Bondi is particularly being targeted, right? And I think a lot of people make that connection. But there is some sort of like rays of hope coming out of this, and the one that I want to show you, and I think a lot of people probably would have seen it by now, is the guy who was able to wrestle the firearm off the dad. That guy, what a brave dude. Like he snuck up on him. Here's the video. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but we'll play it. He like sneaks up on him. See, he's down there. Sneaks up on him. Gets a firearm off him. And then reverses the roles. What a very brave guy. Now, I heard a lot of people ask, why didn't he just shoot him? But I'm guessing he showed a lot of restraint that a lot of the rest of us don't have. But that was a ray of, if there is anything good to take from it, is that citizens who were there, and there was not that many police on the location yet, someone decided to be very brave and try and save people's lives. That was very cool. I think we see that in movies where they'll take the gun off someone and spin it around, and you go, I wonder if that would work in real life. And he just showed you that it can. Now, he did unfortunately sustain some gunshot injuries. He's in hospital, but he's expected to be okay. He's expected to be just fine after a recovery. I think anyone who gets shot by a gun is going to have some sort of recovery, even though they say they're fine. Hey Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super sticker. And Jay, I appreciate it. It's very kind of both of you. For some reason, the messages didn't come up. Let me see. Yeah, for some reason the messages didn't come up. I'm sorry about that, but thank you for the super stickers. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, so I was telling you, I saw all this happen last night, and I had a few messages from people saying, "Are you going to come on and do it?" I was so stuck on the coverage. I just couldn't. I couldn't run a live show. I was just, I don't know. I just couldn't do it, and I was just sitting there going, "Is this really happening?" And I just, yeah, just couldn't come on and talk to you guys at the time. Yeah, he owns a fruit shop, right? I think his details are over here. If we get out of, nope, that's not how we do that. Go down here. They're saying here one of the world's richest men has rewarded the hero who tackled and disarmed one of the Bondi beach attackers by grabbing his gun. They're saying here he's a father of two and a fruit shop owner. His name is Ahmed. He's 43. Was identified by relatives as the man seen fighting one of the terrorists in a video widely shared on social media. They say shortly after the terror attack, Bill Ackman, a Jewish investment banker worth more than 9.5 billion, said he wanted to reward Mr. Ahmed for his bravery. He said, "Can someone please set up a verified so we can reward him and his family?" They say a GoFundMe has since been launched, and Mr. Ackman has already donated $100,000 to that GoFundMe for him. Right now, it's at $500,000. Yeah. The guy who disarmed the Bondi attacker, it's already raised $500,000. That is crazy. That is great work. That is great work. He deserves it. What a very brave individual. I 100% think he saved lives. I'm sure of it. Guys, one sec. Sorry about that. Um, hey Roy, has there been double standards by the government regarding way have they been treated regarding I have no idea. I'm not sure. Not here. I've got no idea. No idea if that's related or not. Hey Lucid Worlds, how are you? Even if he did not let him go because he's Muslim like him and continue to reach his bridge, still focus on his uh still focus on him used to reduce the criticism on Islam. I think we should just criticize the people who did the shooting and how come they weren't picked up earlier. I feel like there was information there at an earlier time, and maybe someone didn't think it was important enough, and look where we ended up. So maybe there has to be a review into that, which sounds like they are going to do. I don't know what's going to come of it though. Normally they say stuff like that and not a lot happens, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's that one. The victims, I think the big focus today has been on a lot of the victims, but the one I showed you earlier was a young girl, 10 years old. This young lady here, her name is Matilda, a very fitting name, Matilda. You know, if you're Australian, you uh, know that name. And they said that she was remembered as a bright, joyful, and spirited child who brought light to everyone around her. They say Matilda died on Sunday night after she was shot while she was at the Hanukkah by the Sea event. And they said here her aunt posted online that a great tragedy has happened to my family. Yesterday, my beloved niece Matilda was killed during a terrorist attack in Bondi Beach. I don't know how we survived such grief. I hope they do survive, and I know it would be very difficult. So far, the people who have been identified is the 10-year-old, a father and husband called, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Tibor, a secretary of the Sydney secretary of the sounds like he is a rabbi, another rabbi called Eli, a Holocaust survivor called Alex, and an assistant at Bondi's Wellington Street Synagogue. His last name is Morrison, and a French Jewish man called Dan. I think his photo was posted a lot this morning as one of the victims. I'll see if I can find it. There was a photo of this Daniel guy. This lady was on the air last night, and she was explaining how her husband was trying to save her, and he ended up being shot and killed while trying to protect her life, and that is awfully sad. His name is Alex. Let me see if I can find Dan. That's not him. This is Dan, one of the younger people to have been unfortunately killed. His image was all over the internet and news services this morning. Hey Vegemite, how are you, my friend? What could be more Australian than a fruit seller? Yeah, like in the spirit of Con the grocer, a little bit. Yeah, no, you're welcome. Hey, good to see you. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. It's great to see you around. Yeah, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. So, uh, how sad for that little girl. Hey, Sid the cat, how are you? Sean said, my mate lived on Brown Road where these two resided. He moved out long ago there. I've been there once for his 40th. Interesting. Oh, their houses were raided last night. And one of the interesting things to come out of it was they spoke to some of the neighbors who live nearby. They were saying, oh, they moved in here for a while and, you know, everyone in the street sort of knows each other. They were saying that the people who lived there, the obviously the father and the mum and things like that, they're like, oh, they're not social. They don't talk to us. They're very anti-social. And they were saying how they wouldn't become part of the community of the street and wouldn't talk to anyone. And they're very antisocial is the word that was used. Sally says, I read earlier that a Holocaust survivor was a victim. Yes, I believe that is, if I can get back to my photos. Is it this fellow here? Yeah. It is this fellow here. This guy here. His name, he's 87, was 87 years old. And I think that is Alex, if I'm reading this correctly. I can't pronounce his name. Is it Reuven Morrison? And he's apparently a Holocaust survivor. Reuven, and his wife is Larissa. And Larissa is the one that was on television last night. That's her here, detailing what had happened to her husband and that he died trying to protect her life. So he did one final brave act in his life. Chimunk says the enemy knows who is who and uses people to do evil. Gail said they haven't said much about the IEDs. Well, I just read they found a third one. So they found a third one, or at least acknowledged the existence of a third one. I'm just trying to find my information on it. There was a third explosive. Yeah. So a few minutes ago, a third bomb has been found after a shooting at Bondi Beach that killed 15 people and left at least 40 more injured. Police revealed 2 explosives were found on Sunday, with a third found on Monday. Now, I think they said that that one was maybe a backpack or some sort of bag that was found near where their vehicle was. Now, that vehicle ended up being towed, and I think they found some sort of bag that contained that third bomb. And they're saying here, police describe the bombs as fairly basic in construction. So nothing sophisticated, nothing crazy, exotic. They're saying, yeah, not very advanced, just very rudimentary. None of them worked. We didn't hear of any explosions. We didn't hear of like the bridge being blown up, which I think is what they were trying to do. It didn't work. Didn't see any of these go off or anything. Sean said there was one guy covered in blood and came to support Hanukkah. He was involved in October. Yeah, I saw that guy. I have a photo of him if I can find it. Yeah, he got hit in the head, I think. Here, this fella here. This guy, he was talking on the media too. He was saying how he came to Australia because he thought it was safe. And then this happened. He was saying how it was very much like Australia's October 7. Yeah, he was bloodied. He had dripping off him, the poor guy. I hope he's all right today. I hope it doesn't become the norm for Australia. That's not what I would like to see at all. Guys, who is calling me on this funny day? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you to my friend who doesn't want to be named for the donation. I appreciate it. They never want me to say who it is. And to Sean, thank you for the donations. It's very kind. Oh, the one thing I want to tell you about is if you are a resident in Australia, but more importantly, if you are in New South Wales, the New South Wales Blood Bank urgently needs blood donations. Apparently, they were running critically low. They put out an address only a couple of weeks ago saying how low in reserves they were, and that even now with the shooting, so many victims going to different hospitals, they need people to come in and give blood to help stock up their reserves because there's a few blood types that they're very, very low in. Hold on. Blood bank request. There was a request here. But they were saying you can book in, come in, help the if you want to find a way to help and you can't do other ways of helping people, but they're saying that the blood bank, yeah, Lifeblood has issued a push for O negative blood. So if you're O negative and you know you're O negative and you can give blood, they would like you to come in and help. I think they would appreciate anyone coming in to help, but they really need O negative. Apparently, it's quite a rare blood type and it's quite rare to be donated too. They say people have been urged to make an appointment to donate blood in the coming days and weeks, particularly donations for O type. They say Lifeblood spokesman said they have seen an overwhelming response from the community, but the need for more blood was ongoing. If you maybe sounds like it comes from a vampire novel. The need for blood was ongoing. Sounds like something out of a vampire novel, but it's not. It's a blood bank, which helps people when they get injured. They need a blood transfusion. A lot of people last night who were having gunshot injuries would have needed many, many blood transfusions to survive. And I think so. One of the cops who got shot must have got shot at pretty close range because apparently it obliterated his shoulder, absolutely vaporized his shoulder. And they were saying that they had to give him so many blood transfusions to keep him with us. But he was undergoing some very severe surgeries to try and stabilize his condition and try and keep him with us. But yeah, absolutely shattered all of his shoulder, and he had multiple blood transfusions already. Lux said O negative is universal donor. Maybe that's why they want it, because it can be given to anyone. I'm pretty sure they said, though, that O negative wasn't one they had a lot of people coming in giving, which is a shame. I can't show that, otherwise we'll get kicked off YouTube. But they're saying here that hospitals needed blood and urge anyone who thought about doing an act of public service following the shooting to contact the Red Cross. They said, we saw extraordinary scenes from the New South Wales public hospitals last night. Emergency departments at the drop of a hat were in the process of saving scores of lives. They did an incredible job, but they need your help. They need blood. And if you're thinking about doing an act of public service in the coming 24 hours, I urge you to contact the Red Cross and do that piece of public mindedness. So, yeah, they would like you to book in. Apparently, the website for the blood bank had been inundated so badly that the website crashed overnight. I don't know if it is still up right now. Let's have a look. Life Blood New South Wales. Let's see if it's working today. Okay, it is working today. They've got it back up and running. So they do have it back up and running. Let's have a look. Make supply blood supply levels. Okay, maybe this one, maybe it's still not 100% working. It doesn't seem to. No. Okay, the website's partially working. That particular page does not work. But they're saying here, where can you donate? If we go to 2000, go to, Haymarket, sure, why not? Okay, the website might be partially working. It seems to be taking a long time to do anything, apparently. Maybe it's my internet. Hold on. Let me see if it's my Wi-Fi. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi. Hold on. All right, does not seem to be my Wi-Fi. It just seems to be their website not working 100%. I thought maybe our Wi-Fi had been bent or moved or something. Okay, something went wrong. Check your browser, developer console. Okay, I'll do that, but not right now. So yeah, you'll have to go to the website. I'll put it in the chat, and if you could do that, I think it would help. I think it would. So there you go. There you go. lifeblood.com.au, and you can help the hospitals out. What are they saying here? Albo pledges to take action on gun laws. Well, okay, I think they've said that a few times already today. They're saying, confirming for the first time that the 24-year-old alleged gunman was an Australian born. The government confirmed that the dead father had arrived in Australia in the 1990s on a student visa. They said, speaking in Sydney, Mr. Albanese said, as was the case with Port Arthur in 1996, strong action was required on gun laws. I'm not exactly sure what they would change. Maybe the number of guns you could have, or I don't know, maybe how often you have to be reviewed. Like maybe it'll have to be every year. You'll have to undergo a new review, or like you have to pass like a test or something. I think now they said like it lasts for quite a long time before you have to do a review, and any sort of intervention is normally if you do something wrong and you come up like on the police or you get charged with a crime, something like that, then you would get flagged and then there would be a review. All right, let's have a look. What else is Mr. Albanese having to tell us today? Let's see. They just said it's a act of evil that was calculated by these perpetrators is just an outrage. The government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary, including the need for tougher gun laws. And he says this afternoon at 4 p.m. I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals, a review of licenses over a period of time. That's what we heard in that press conference. What do they say? He goes on to say, if we need to toughen these up, if there's anything that we can do, I'm certainly up for it. And they're saying here, the Home Affairs Minister said he was authorized to disclose the immigration status of the two alleged gunmen. They said the father and son, the son is Australian born, the father arrived on a student visa in 1998, transferred in 2001 to a partner visa, and after trips overseas has been on a resident return visa, which occurred 3 times. The son first came to ASIO attention in October 2019. He was examined as a teenager based on his association with others. An assessment was made that there was no indication of any ongoing threat or threat of engaging in violence. Well, they got that wrong. They got that wrong, didn't they? Their assessment on ongoing violence seems to be incorrect. Yeah, very incorrect. Let's see if we got a better update for you. Unfortunately, I can't show you any of the videos from yesterday because a lot of them are very graphic and will get booted off YouTube. Unfortunately, we've tried in the past when we've had these type of events, and we have been kicked off YouTube before. So very annoying. Sean says Pakistanis usually targets Indians, not Jews. I mean, I don't know what the background here is going to be like, but I know that when they investigated him when he was a teenager, it was because he was hanging around people that had already been identified as a ISIS cell. So he was hanging around people that were already well into radicalization and things like that. Chipmunk said several generations of the brainwashing, and they are all over, including working in nuclear power plants, just waiting for the signal to go forth. Okay. Sure. If that's what. Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. All right. Let's have a look. What do we want? I think we wanted a thing about the victims. Here we go.
We are learning more about the victims of this massacre. So we have confirmation so far. These are the faces of those killed. Dan El-Kayam, Rabbi Eli Schlanger, and Reuven Morrison. Now, Dan El-Kayam is a 27-year-old French engineer and a member of the Rockdale Illingdon Football Club. His club has posted to social media saying he was an integral member of the P1 squad. He was very talented. He was very popular as well. Among the dead, Rabbi Eli Schlanger, the father of 5, one of the key organisers of the Hanukkah event at Bondi. He was a much-loved member of the Jewish community. He was a staple at the Chabad of Bondi Synagogue on Wellington Street in Bondi Beach. Eli Schlanger among the victims. So too, Reuven Morrison, who emigrated from the former Soviet Union to Australia in the 1970s. He was known as a businessman whose main goal was to give away his earnings to charities that were dear to his heart. And we've also had confirmation on the youngest victim, the 10-year-old girl who has been killed in this terror attack, Matilda B. Britton. Her family has given permission for us to show these photos of their special girl, and this from Matilda's language teacher, who has set up a GoFundMe page for her mother, which has already raised over $13,000, saying, "I knew her as a bright, joyful and spirited child who brought light to everyone around her. And yesterday, while celebrating Hanukkah, her young life was tragically taken. Her memory will live on in our hearts." Some of the victims, the 15 victims who were gunned down, including one of those wielding that rifle, the tragedy that is on such an unthinkable scale, the worst terror attack on our soil and the worst massacre here in Australia since Port Arthur. The scale of what has occurred, it's hard to process for all of us.
This morning, I convened a meeting of the Cabinet where we were briefed on the latest intelligence on yesterday's attack in.
There we go. Very sad. Yep. Gail said the man in the middle, I think a 4-month-old baby. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think he broke any gun laws until now. I think the question is just that if the Sun came up on ASIO for a review at some point, why was that never looked into further when the fact is that they had guns in the household, multiple firearms, apparently 6 of them, I think that's what they want to know why. Kathy said, how close was this to you? I am in Victoria, so I am a state south of New South Wales. New South Wales is north of me, and but I'm actually from Sydney. I grew up there. I lived there for a majority of my life, and so I know the area quite well. I've only been down in Melbourne for later in my life. Donna, hey Donna, but they knew he was hanging out with terrorists. Yeah, that's I think that's what people want answers to. Why did that not trigger more action or a review or something? It is indeed our iconic beach in Australia, especially in New South Wales. I think it's put around the world as sort of like a centerpiece. And when people think of Australia, they think of like the Great Barrier Reef. They think of like the golden sand of Bondi Beach. They think of all like, the sunshine and things like that. That's why it's so popular. If you go to Bondi Beach on any day, there's a mixture of local people who live there, and then there's a bunch of people who might be tourists, who might be visiting. It's got a real mixing pot of people on any given day of the year. And it just so happened that last night was the first night of Hanukkah, and they had a big event there trying to celebrate it. And it had like a lot of Jewish people attending that event. So Kathy said there is Bondi Vet that is popular. I can't say I've ever watched Bondi Vet, but I do know of the show. Chipmunk said, I had a question. New South Wales is a state. Is that the same as states in the US? Yes. So I'll show you. Hold on. Australian map. I'll show you the sort of how it works for people who might not know just like basic geography of Australia. So this is your basic map of Australia, right? So I'm in Victoria down here. There's Tasmania, where I visited last year at this time, about a year ago. This is New South Wales up here. Inside of New South Wales, you have the ACT, which is sort of like your Washington, where you have like your White House and all your, not parliament, but political stuff. That is the same for us in the ACT. It's in the middle. It's right there. It's just that little tiny thing. And then you have Sydney. Sydney is the capital of New South Wales. It is right here. You can't see it on this map, but it's on the coastline here. And yes, each one of these are either a territory or a state. So Northern Territory is a territory. You have Western Australia, South Australia, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, New South Wales, and then another territory, which is the ACT. And so there you go. Similar to the US, just not as many. We don't have quite as many as you guys do. You guys have 50, we have a handful. So there you go. You're in Queensland. Hey Donna, nice to see one of our northern friends. Nice to see one of our northern people from Queensland. Chipmunk said, I kind of thought it was all just countries. Countries? Counties? Do you mean counties? No, we have suburbs and towns. I don't think we really have counties like you guys do. We have other ways that they classify areas, and they're called like LGAs. So they call them like local government areas, and they are a different way of dicing up, Victoria, New South Wales, and that's sort of like the government's area of each one. So there's districts. There's just sort of different ways of doing it, but most of them are just like state, city, or town. That's most of the way they do it here. Sean said these two lived an hour away from Bondi. Yeah, they lived in Bonnyrigg. So Bonnyrig's out in the west. It is not really that far. I mean, it's not really that close to Bondi. It's sort of out in the here. Let's see if we can show you Bondi. Bonnyrigg, New South Wales. I actually used to live near Bonnyrigg. It's near Cabra Vale. Let me see if I can show you. So this is Bonnyrigg right here. It's right in the smacker, sort of like the west southwest of Sydney. There's Cabra, and if you zoom out, you'll probably go up to like Fairfield, Guildford, Auburn, Lidcombe, Granville, Harris Park, Parramatta, Marylands, Westmead, and so there's that little square right there, the little red one. That's Bonnyrigg. That's where they're from. Bondi is out here, all the way out here. This is Bondi Beach. This is where it happened last night. This is the beach, all the way on the coastline. So they are not exactly very close to Bondi. It's not like they're locals and they come from the area. It is a bit of a trip. So that is the sort of distance, or I can zoom out a little bit again. So there's Bondi Beach. That's where it happened. And you guys, can we get the little red box? Oh, it went away. It went away, but it's out here. It's out here in this area. Cabramatta, there it is. So you can see how far. There's the little red box over here, all the way over here. And then Bondi is all the way over here. So for people who don't know the sort of geo location, so there's Bondi. There's all those, there's the beautiful beach. There's that car park. I wonder if we can see there's those footpaths you may have seen on some of the videos last night. Some of the other walkways and things. 1 million car spaces for all the visitors. So yeah, there you go. There's Bondi Beach. Hey Danny, how are you? Blacktown. Blacktown? What are we talking about, Blacktown? All of the police in each state are one. No township. Yeah, we don't have sheriffs here. Although we do. We have sheriffs, but they don't work the same way that the American ones do. The sheriffs here tend to work for government, and they mostly, as far as I know, collect fines and enforce fines from the court and things like that. They don't do the work of police as such. They more work for the government. Let's see. I don't know. No idea. No idea what you guys are on about. Here, let me change to our map for a minute. Yeah. Let's move over here. There we go. All right, let me check for any other updates for us, whether they're going to do any more. They've been doing press conferences very often, like I think every hour or two, there's been either a press conference from the Prime Minister, the police, the local mayor, or like everyone's been doing press conferences all day. There's been one at least every couple of hours. Oh, Rob Reiner, this is why you're talking about it. Hollywood director and wife found dead. That's what you guys are talking about. 11 minutes ago. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Rob Reiner? I don't even know who that is. Okay. Apparently, Rob Reiner has passed away in LA. For what? The couple suffered lacerations consistent with a knife. They're saying LAPD's robbery homicide division is investigating. Okay. We'll have to see what happens with that one. There you go. There's the Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, and they're saying that they were found at their Hollywood home, and they're saying they basically had lacerations consistent with a knife. So are they looking for a third party, or was it like a murder S word type of situation? Well, let's have a break from the Bondi thing just for 2 minutes. Let me look at this. Since you guys brought it to my attention, let's have a look for a sec. I just want to know. Okay. Yeah, they say things like this. They're saying apparent homicide, but they say things like that, right? And then they'll come out and say, oh, it was a murder S word, and that they weren't lying because there was a homicide involved. I don't know what they're going to say here. No further details are available at this time as it is an ongoing robbery homicide division investigation into an apparent homicide. Yeah, not too many details whether they're looking for a third party or not. We'll have to see how that one develops, but right now, I'm guessing this is their property too. This is where the all the fire trucks and things have turned up to. Most don't sword with a knife. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, interesting. Danny said it's their son. Okay. Let's have a look. I mean, that wouldn't be surprising. We've seen a few of those recently where the son has killed the parents. Let's have a look. Hey, I'll take you to Fox LA just for 2 minutes so you guys can catch up on this one. It's not a. What do they got here? This is the home of it. The home that's the same photo we saw just a minute ago. So they're at this giant property, very pretty home. Yeah, not a lot of not a lot of details as of yet on that one. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks, Linux. One of the people involved in the Snowtown murders in South Australia have been denied parole. Good news. Good news. That's what we'd like. We don't want people that put bodies in a barrel and put them in a bank vault to be, walking around. Lux said if Rob Reiner was the one who made Spinal Tap, I have no idea, guys. Danny said prayers for Australia. Saw all synagogues in the US, big police presence. Well, they're doing that here. Apparently, most of the synagogues in Australia have sort of shut down. They're not doing any events, even for Hanukkah. They're sort of really worried that there might be another attack or people might want to attack them for some reason. So they are sort of chilling out at the moment. They are trying to just wait for everything to sort of calm down a little bit before they, and they're trying to mourn but they're saying no services for any synagogues right now in Australia. All right, let's have a look. Let's see if we have any more updates. They're saying here that there's a new video doing the rounds, apparently. And it's like a front-on view. I'm not sure if I can play it. Let's have a look. I'll double check what it looks like before I show it to you guys. Oh, I think they're saying it is of the shooter fast reloading the weapon, and they're saying it's not. Okay, it shows the gunman opening fire and then fast reloading on one of the firearms. Okay, I don't think we can play that. If it shows people being shot, we can't play it. Okay, let's go here. I wish I could, but YouTube has very strict laws on regulations about showing things that might be considered gruesome or bloody, and then we will get in a lot of trouble. What are they saying here? Police removed a woman from a memorial vigil for the Bondi Beach terror attack after she began protesting about Palestine. Ah, woman, now is not the time, you crackhead. Now is not the time. Everyone just wait a bit. Just you can go back to fighting and protesting and doing all that stuff about whatever in a minute. Just give us 1 minute. Yeah, they're saying this lady here was trying to start her own protest at the memorial vigil for the people who died yesterday. There you go. The woman shouted accusations that others were politicizing the tragedy and demanded that Israeli flags be taken down. Well, I don't know who made you the Queen of England, but you should probably take a seat, ma'am. Take a seat. Take a seat and wait your turn. Yeah, read the room. Read the room. You can wait 5 minutes for people to mourn the people who died and, all that type of thing. There's plenty of time to go and protest about whatever you like, just not today. Not today. I think that's really disrespectful. Really disrespectful. But there had to be someone. There was always going to be someone that was going to do something like this. Let's see here. So yeah, they're saying that. Oh, one of the other things that came out today, the son, the gunman, he's in hospital. They actually think he will survive his injuries from being neutralized by police, and they intend to charge him when he is coherent. So when he is coherent, they are going to interview him and then charge him with crimes. So they plan to charge him should he wake up. And yeah. Diane, prayers for Australia. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm sure Australia could use your prayers right now. It's just mind-boggling. For people who don't know, the last time we had something like this was Port Arthur. And if you don't know what Port Arthur is, Port Arthur, if we go back to our map of Australia, if I can find our little map again, it is that island that I showed you. It is a state of our country down here. Down here, Tasmania. This island state of Australia. Down here, there's a place called Port Arthur. And in 1996, a guy called Martin Bryant went on a rampage down there and shot a lot of people. And it was probably the largest public mass shooting we've had in a long, long time. Here, hold on. I'll grab a photo. Yeah, we don't want a movie about it. We want, yes, that. And okay, there's Martin Bryant. So this is what he looked like back there, like a long time ago. This is what Martin Bryant looked like a long time ago, back then. So on the 28th of April, 1996, at Port Arthur, it's a tourist town in the state of Tasmania. They're saying Martin Bryant killed 35 people and wounded 23 others It was considered the deadliest massacre in modern Australian history, and the attack led to fundamental changes in Australians' gun laws. So that's why that is so significant, and why people are sort of talking about it in regards to today, is because it's not that different. Like it's about, someone went out and hurt a lot of people, very similar to here. Why is that not doing that? I was going to show you where it was and it wouldn't come up on the map. There we go. So we showed you that Tasmanian, well, like is where it was on the big map. This little red dot down here, that is Port Arthur. That's where it is in Tasmania. So that's the location of the shooting in 1996, and it led to these tough gun control laws that I'm sure most of you, if you're not Australian, have heard about. And I can tell you that some of the videos last night reminded me of Port Arthur. Back when Port Arthur happened, the police in Tasmania made a video. They called it a training video. And what it was, a police officer with a video camera walked through the scene and sort of narrated it a little bit. That video was never supposed to see the light of day. It was supposed to only be used by authorities to sort of train police officers on what to expect at a mass shooting. Somehow, when the police were upgrading to digital in the early 2000s, a copy of that was put in a tip or a dump, a rubbish dump, and someone trolling through the rubbish found it. They found it. It was sort of passed around on the, dark areas of the internet and through people. If you knew someone, they had it, they would, there's a lot of people who collect that type of very gruesome type of videos, and it made its way onto the internet eventually. I have seen small parts of that video over the years doing true crime, and I can tell you that some of the video that came out last night from Bondi, it was very similar. You see these people, they haven't moved from where they were shot and killed. They have the same look to them. So brought on some, I can understand why the public is getting flashbacks, especially if you're old enough to remember Port Arthur, of this being very similar. Different motivations behind it, but the end result is very similar. Sean said, I recall a knife wielding man shot dead by police on Bondi some 5 to 7 years ago. I seem to remember something like that too. Danny said, how hard is it to get a gun in Australia? It's not that hard. You need to pass a background check with police. You need to do an application. You need to select what you're using it for, whether that is you have a farm and you need it in your job on a farm, you do hunting, or you do maybe sport shooting and you belong to a club. A lot of people who live in the city will apply for one saying that they do sport shooting at a club. I think if you choose that option, you have to actually be a member of a gun club. And that way, that's one of the ways you can get it. So it's not super hard. There are some sort of barriers on it, depending on what your police record is, if you've had any mental health complaints, certain things that'll trigger during the application. And if you apply for it and wait long enough and pass the background review, you can get one. You then, I think in New South Wales, you have to then get a license for each firearm. It's not like you get a gun license and then you can just buy as many as you want. You need to get one for each individual firearm that you want to purchase and own. And then there's other restrictions about how you're supposed to store them and things like that. Probably not dissimilar to other gun laws that you may know about. Donna said they had rudimentary. Yeah, they weren't very clever apparently. Shasta said, where does all this hate come from? I don't begin to pretend to know how this all works. I know very little about why someone would. I think we all know the basics of it, but I don't understand the deeper wanting to go out in public and hurt this many people. Sean said, yeah, I don't remember that myself. I mean, I think I remember something like that. I just can't remember if it was actually Bondi or not. All right, what else do we have? It just gone 3 o'clock, so if there was going to be another update, it would have come out. That is not cool. They're saying here in southwestern Sydney, Muslim cemetery desecrated with pig heads after Bondi terror attack. Someone has put butchered pig heads all over the Muslim cemetery out in Western Sydney. That isn't cool. I don't think that's going to help anyone. That doesn't help anyone. That's not going to solve this. It's not going to make anyone be held accountable. It's not going to make the people become alive again. I think that's that is just stoking the flames for the sake of doing it. That is stirring up trouble like that other protesting lady just for the sake of it. It's yeah, very childish to do that. Yeah, that's not cool. I hope they find who did that. That's not helping anyone. That doesn't help anyone here. Let's have a look. Any other updates for us? Nope, we don't want to talk about her. What are they saying here? They said the pig heads were placed on Muslim graves as a form of retribution following the Bondi attacks. I don't know if I would consider that. All you're going to do is piss off people that are not probably not the people who are involved in all of this. I'm just trying to see if there's any other update here. Where was it? Narellan. So it was in Narellan. I'm just trying to see if it says anything more about what happened. Yeah, there you go. They're saying here that prominent Muslim undertaker Ahmed Harachi condemned the act at Narellan Cemetery in Camden as senseless and hateful. He says, to whoever did this, you have proven nothing except hatred. You are not a solution to any problem. You are part of the problem. This is pure stupidity. It achieves nothing. It only fuels anger, pain, and division. We don't need more people being revved up and amped up by cowardly actions like this. These people in those graves were dead long before what happened yesterday. They have nothing to do with current events. Graves are places of rest, dignity, and respect across all faith and humanity. If you want peace, this is not the way. If you want justice, this is not the way. All you are doing is showing a lack of humanity. I agree. I think that is just to get people riled up and to try and start some sort of they want like a one side versus the other and they want to keep it going. If you do something like this, you're not showing your disdain for the attack yesterday. All you're doing is flaming a war. All you're doing is trying to get more people hurt and killed with this. You know, tensions are high, emotions are very high, and doing something like this could be the match that makes a giant bushfire happen. And that's all that this would do. It doesn't do anything to help anyone. So that's very stupid, whoever did that. Yeah, that's very dumb. What else do we have here? They say that 10-year-old girl Matilda, apparently her family have started talking, saying that 10-year-old Matilda was smiling and playing in a petting zoo with her little sister at the time that she was killed. That is very sad. You know, at least her last moments was of her having fun and, you know, patting the cute animals and having fun with her family, but she should never have died. They're saying here, what happened in front of us? They're saying here, Matilda was tragically struck by one of the bullets that flew in their direction, with Summer, her sister, narrowly avoiding injury too. And they're saying here, it happened all in front of her sister, Summer's eyes. She saw all of it. We are beyond understanding that this has happened. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I saw photos of the petting zoo when it happened yesterday, and I was like, you know how many little kids were probably hanging out and, you know, patting the animals, and to attack someone like that is horrible. What? Brown University alleged shooter has been released. Why? Hold on, I have to look at that. I saw they were doing a press conference when we were talking about Bondi, but I didn't want to leave the story. I know they found someone earlier today, and they said they found it through triangulation of cell phone data. But that is mental if that is true. Hold on, let me try find that update. Yeah, person of interest has been released. Wow, that is crazy. Hold on. That's not what we need. I'm just trying to find somewhere we can get the update. Yeah. Police release man detained earlier in connection with deadly Brown University shooting, according to the mayor. They said here that the person of interest was found with a revolver and a small Glock handgun in his room at a hotel in Coventry, Rhode Island. And they're saying here, tell us more about why. Okay, they're not going to tell us why. They're just going to tell us that he has been. Yeah, okay. I wonder why. Yeah, what do they say on this one? They've got another one here. If I can pause that. They're saying, yeah, person of interest detained earlier today will be released. They said police initially said they were confident the person of interest was the person who opened fire at Brown before fleeing. Okay, they're not giving us any other update of why. That is very strange. Maybe they got the wrong guy. We're gonna have to wait and see. Wrong guy. They were so confident this morning. They're like, we had the cast team from the FBI come in, and they were able to triangulate the cell phone, and then we tracked him to the hotel through a tip. Crazy, crazy. Not the first time this has happened though in a manhunt. Danny said, "Good God, that guy's picture was put everywhere." Yeah, it was all over CNN and Fox News and things like that. So are the relocking down? I don't know. I don't know why they would, if they will or they won't. I feel like that they probably got most of the people out of the university by now. Sean said, yes, originally I heard the shooter in custody, then hours later not caught. So yeah, hopefully you find out the truth. Yeah, I don't see any reason either. It just says that they are going to do it, not why they're going to do it. So we're going to have to wait and see. I'll see if I can get us a better update. Hold on. I did see that there was a press conference going on while we're on the air. Let's see. Yeah, here we go.
We know that this is likely to cause fresh anxiety for our community. And we want to reiterate what we said earlier, which remains true, which is ever since the initial call, now a day and a half ago, we have not received any credible or specific threats to the Providence community. And so the status of safety in our community remains unchanged. And we believe that you remain safe in our community, though we will continue to have an enhanced police presence throughout the city and on the Brown campus.
And I'm joined by Professor Michael Littman, computer science professor at Brown University. Right. Professor, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So you were inside the computer science building, which, so folks know, that's across the street from the Barris and Holly engineering building where this shooting took place. How did you learn about the shooting?
Yeah, so we had just given the final for my class, and the TAs and I were in the computer science building on the first floor grading. And so the undergrads are very well connected. And so one of the undergrads who was part of the TA team said, they're saying there's an active shooter situation.
There we go. Wrong person. Well, we'll have to wait for another better update. But yeah, what are they saying here? A planned Christmas tree and menorah lighting tonight at Lippert Memorial Park for the first night of Hanukkah has been transformed into a community vigil for the Brown shooting, but also the mass shooting that happened in Australia as well. Yeah, person of interest detained earlier today in connection with the deadly shooting will be released shortly, but no further details. I will say, by the way, people keeping up with the Jody Hill trial, there is no new update. Today, the jury came back in and started deliberating for day 2. So far, I've received no new updates today. So no new updates, no questions from the jury, no questions to, like, they haven't come in and asked anything today. They have just been deliberating, but doesn't seem like we have a verdict as of yet for Jody Hill. So we'll go into day 3 tomorrow, unless something happens in the next 40 minutes or so. So they normally go to like 4, 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. But so far, no updates today about Jody Hill and her trial. All right, let's go down here. Let me see what else we have on here. It's been a crazy 24 hours. It really has. The shooting coverage has been wall to wall, 24 hours a day. I don't think it has stopped since about 7:30 last night. It has just been constant on every channel for everything. It's just been round the clock press conferences and things like that. All right, let's see. Do we have any other updates for this afternoon? What is this telling us? Apparently they had police trying to get this woman out. Yeah.
Because this community has politicized this tragedy. Take a step back now. We are standing here because of...
That's that woman who said that everyone was politicizing everything. All right, 1 second. There we go. Hey, hey, Aaron Chung. High five to her. Jay says we need to stop breeding. Take a good look at our societies, recalibrate, and to do better. I will recalibrate my breeding. Yes. SP Mom said, just got home from a part. A part or a park? Which one? You'll have to let me know. All right. I think we are, I don't think we have too much more. I think we brought you a few updates. I don't think there's going to be. I think we brought you the update from the PM. Oh, okay. This might be a good one. So according to the Muslim community, so the people who are like the leaders in the Sydney Muslim community, they are refusing to take the terrorist body and they are refusing to perform Islamic funeral rites on that man's body. So they are saying that they will not give him a funeral. They will not accept him into their sort of service, and they will not accept his body to give him any sort of Islamic last rites for him. So he won't get anything like that. And they're saying that last time something like this happened, I think might have been the Lint shooting that happened many years ago, about 10 years ago now. They refused to do it then as well for that man. And they're saying for this guy here as well, they are also refusing to accept his body and do anything for him. Yeah. They say they'll refuse to perform Islamic funeral rites or receive the body of the Bondi terrorists as they condemn the event as barbaric and criminal acts. And they're saying here that they don't see the offender as inside the fold of Islam or Muslims. And they say what they have done is not condoned by any of us, and it is killing innocent civilians. We know it is a verse in our book. Killing an innocent civilian is the same as killing all humanity. And they're saying currently only the older shooter has been confirmed dead. His son remains in hospital. And they're saying here that the incident draws comparison to the 2014 Lint cafe siege, which saw 3 deaths, including the perpetrator, who was also designated a terrorist. It was also designated a terrorist incident. And they said when the perpetrator died, they were asked if they could take the body. They said, we refused to receive his body, and we refrained and refused to perform the death rituals on his body. And they're saying they would refuse to accept him as any Muslim. They would refuse to put him in any Muslim section of Rookwood Cemetery. And they're saying we would do the exact same thing with these people from the Bondi attack. So they said here, there is an elderly lady that is well respected in our community. She passed away last night and her body is going to be washed for funeral, but they're saying that they can't have it at the mosque due to the dangers right now. So apparently they're having it at home because of like how under threat they feel right now. So yeah, there you go. Very interesting that they will not accept. Hold on. Sorry, my cats keep being very naughty and they keep trying to pull stuff off my desk. Sean said the Islamic area of Rookwood is beautiful. It's a garden cemetery and the largest in the southern hemisphere. There you go. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was the largest in the southern hemisphere. But that is good information, my friend. Thanks for letting me know. I think that's about it, guys. I wish I had a little bit more information for you, but I think that's most of it without just like dredging on and on and on over with the same, same information. I don't think that's a great idea. Let me see what else we have here. I'm just trying to see if they gave us any other bigger updates on the Brown thing. They're saying here, authorities seeking video evidence from the public. They're still looking for more video about the Brown shooting, and they're asking anyone who hasn't yet given video to please hurry up and do that on their online portal. And they're saying here, evidence is pointing in a different direction from person of interest, according to the Attorney General. They're saying the Rhode Island Attorney General said there was some degree of evidence that pointed to the individual that was taken into custody, but obviously, now that evidence points in a different direction, this person of interest needs to be and should be released. They said, I think what's really unfortunate is this person's name was leaked to the public. It's hard to put that back. And they're saying here, authorities will be proceeding carefully as they continue. And they're saying that there's too much at stake with the victims of this horrific crime. So there you go. They're saying that the evidence sort of looked like it was him. And then when they looked into it further, had nothing to do with him. So, and his name, yeah, was put online, his photo, everything. So that is unfortunate. His life will probably be very messy for a while. Same thing happened with the Boston Marathon bombings when that happened. Richard Jewell, yeah, like Richard Jewell, all the guys with the Boston Marathon thing, they put his name out very early and it wasn't him. Yeah, subscribe for more crime updates. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Sean. Member for 16 months. That's a long time. That's almost a year and a half. Thanks, Sean. Chipmunk says people can make guns now. They don't. Yeah, they did say that in the press conference that people can just 3D print them now or use like a 70%, 80% kit and just make them and they have like no serial number. So it's not uncommon to find weapons with no ID or no serial number. Let's see. Yep. All right. What time is it? 3:30. Okay. It's still a little early, but that's okay. All right. For this Sunday night, I'm going to get out of here. I love you all. If we get more big updates, I'll come back, but I just don't want to sit here and rattle the same crap over and over again like some channels do. I think it's pretty boring when they do that. I love you all. I'll be back tomorrow for Monday. Monday, we tend to get a lot of big updates, and it'll probably be a very busy day tomorrow. Hey, I want to thank Sean for the super chat, Diane as well. Prayers for Australia. Thank you. I think the whole of Australia needs them. Same with America as well. Vegemite Smile says, what could be more Australian than a fruit seller? I agree with you. Con the fruiterer would be proud. Joe, hey Joe, good to see you, my friend. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Jay says, super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker, Jay. Appreciate it. I really do. You guys have been amazing tonight. I very much appreciate all your support. If you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it. We don't nag and tell our viewers to donate and subscribe every 2 seconds through the show because we believe that there's more important information to get to you than to just listen to people wanting you to subscribe or hit the like button or send in a donation. It's just there's better things to do with our time on air. So we don't do that throughout the show. But I would appreciate it. I want to thank Sean for the donation to the PayPal and to my friend who doesn't want to be named. That's very generous of you. And if you want to do that, the links are under the video and in the chat. All right. I love you all. Have a great day out there. Have a great Monday. If you're not in Australia or you're in America, tomorrow is Monday for you. Have a great Monday. Have a great Tuesday if you're an Australian. Hopefully, it's better than what happened on Sunday. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.